Today, I'm going to be talking about things they do not tell you breastfeeding. It is so stressful and it's so hard, and I totally see why people don't end up breastfeeding. They were so hard and swollen. I was bawling and crying for days because it hurt so freaking bad. Okay guys, today I'm going to be talking about things they do not tell you breastfeeding. And I know everybody's breastfeeding journey is so different, and some people want to do formula, which is totally fine. I was even thinking about using formula at one point and still might down the road, but as of right now, I am breastfeeding and it is finally starting to get better. So we're gonna dive in to the things they don't tell you because it is so stressful and it's so hard, and I totally see why people don't end up breastfeeding because it's seriously like the hardest thing ever, and it's so painful and miserable, but also really awesome if you can. First things first, obviously being in the hospital for the first 2 days, you just have the colostrum that comes in, which the colostrum comes in a little bit before you give birth anyway, because I remember Jonas was making fun of me from all this stuff like kind of crusting and oozing out of my nipples before Lottie came. I didn't realize, I knew your milk came in like a couple days after you gave birth, but I didn't really realize that they kind of just can eat the colostrum, and that's plenty when they first arrive, which is crazy to me. They come into the room and they ask, okay, so do you want to breastfeed, or are you pumping, or are you bottle feeding, whatever, formula, whatever. And then I was like, I want to try to breastfeed. And so they're like, okay, great. So they have this little piece of paper in the hospital that you need to like write down when you fed, blah, 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 what time, how many times you did. I remember just feeling so overwhelmed by that because I'm like, okay, well, how much is she supposed to get, this and that. And I know they had lactation specialists like could come in and help, but like I didn't really know exactly what to ask because I've never done this before. And so multiple times I had a lactation specialist come in and help me, but it was really frustrating because it's annoying how they just throw you on the boob. Like they just shove the face, take it, and like they're forcing them in there, and it's like she isn't happy, she doesn't like it. And then I noticed when I was doing it myself that it became a lot easier just to hold her there myself, and then they were trying to sit there and do 50 different positions, and multiple times they had to come in and help, and it was just really frustrating. So the things that are really annoying is you don't really know what you're doing. You go home in 2 days, and I just remember coming home and we had to learn how to kind of help her latch to the nipple better is we put a nipple shield on, which we kind of talked about in one of our other videos. So to help her try to latch, so I hated the football position, was not great, so I just did like normal position, but we had to put this on my nipple because my nipples are really small and she was kind of struggling a little bit. And then they gave us this syringe and we put formula in it. So first time we did it, we used somebody's breast milk that was like donated to the hospital. Then we did formula, and they gave us formula to use at home. Jonas had to fill this up with formula. This was like on my nipple, and then we had to like slide this into the nipple shield, and Jonas would push it down and be feeding her so she could like learn to suck. And then like my milk hadn't come in yet, and it was just really hard.
And then she'd rip the nipple shield off and like rip the tube out, and we'd have to readjust.
Yeah, it was really difficult. It was just really hard, and she didn't really like the nipple shield. That was just really frustrating in general because I have really tiny nipples. Charlotte doesn't like it. So we did that for a couple of days, and then Jonas's mom came over for the first 2 days because then my mom and sister came the next couple days after that and stayed for like 5 days. My mom and sister both had a hard time breastfeeding, but they breastfed all of their kids, and we just have really tiny nipples, and my nipples kind of got bigger a little bit and like a little bit more colored because mine are like really light and pink. Got a little bit more colored once I got pregnant. Anyway, my milk came in like 2 days later, so it took 4 days, maybe 4 or 5 days for my milk to come in. And I remember my milk was kind of coming in, and we could notice my boobs were like kind of getting harder and bigger. And then when I woke up the next morning, they were like triple in size. I think pretty much bigger than anyone else's that their milk comes in and gets big, because I sent the picture to all of my friends and they were like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like all my friends that just had babies, and they're like, I feel so bad for you. That's literally awful. I had lumps up into my collarbone, and literally for like 4 days I couldn't like get any milk out. And Jonas's mom was like trying to help, but she hasn't had kids since like a long time. You know, she doesn't have like the same issues. I mean, it was still hard for her at times and stuff, but she doesn't have like the same nipples that my mom and sister do. So when my mom and sister came, it was super helpful because they all had to do the same thing that I had to do. And I didn't know, because nobody tells you, oh, you can pump right away. Like everything I've seen, it's people are like, oh yeah, I nurse, and then like I eventually pump later to like produce more milk or whatever. If I don't want to breastfeed as much anymore, just pump. So I thought that's just something you do like later on in pregnant or after giving birth. I didn't realize like you could pump right away. I don't know why I didn't know that or realize that. So anyway, when my mom and sister came, we had to go get a medical pump because they were so hard and swollen. I was bawling and crying for days because it hurt so freaking bad. And we were trying everything. Like I tried getting in the shower with warm water. Then I was trying heat on it because everyone's like, oh yeah, use heat, use heat. And then I got on the phone with a lactation specialist when we went to get my medical pump. And she said, don't use heat, use ice, which obviously makes sense because ice helps with inflammation, which is like being an athlete, that's what you know. But when you read and research stuff, a lot of times they say heat. And a lot of people were like, yeah, use heat, use heat. And they said now that times have changed because like stuff's always changing in the medical field and different things. And they said, yeah, it used to be heat, but then we realized heat causes it to like get clogged up more and stuff, so you want to use ice. And so I'm like, seriously? So started using ice, and we were getting rags and putting hot water on them and then putting them in the microwave and setting them on top. And like, yeah, the warm kind of felt good, but then I just felt my nipples are just getting clogged like so bad. So anyway, the ice worked so much better. So I used the medical pump. Game changer. So you guys, if you ever have really swollen boobs and you just aren't getting milk out, you need to get a medical pump, because my little LV pump and my other little pump that I had barely got any milk out, and I was in pain for days. And Charlotte couldn't latch because they were so swollen and rock hard that she like couldn't even put her face on it, which was so sad because then she was hungry. So then I was having to like get the formula out and give her formula. And then I was getting frustrated because I feel like we were going like back and forth with so many different things, and it was just so overwhelming. That was just really, really frustrating. Everyone tells you the first 2 weeks your nipples are gonna hurt the worst. And I would say like it takes a whole good month for them to maybe start feeling better. There are so many different things that I had used to help, which was like my nipple cream. And then they're the same brand of nipple cream that I use. They make these little pads that you can put on your nipple that help really good for cracked nipples that I really like. And then someone was telling me you can get the silver. There's like these silver things you can put on your nipples that are like really cooling and like help a lot, which I didn't try those, which I wish I did. Everyone says to use like the nipple shields, but she hated the nipple shields because my nipple didn't like fit. And I went on Amazon and ordered a smaller nipple shield, which fit better, but she hated it. So that was awful. Anyway, breastfeeding is so freaking hard, and I totally get why a lot of people give up or a lot of people can't do it. And I know a lot of people don't produce milk, and I think the reason why my boobs were so freaking huge is because I produce so much freaking milk. And the other thing that I hate is like nobody tells you like how long they're supposed to suck, and like they say, oh, you can breastfeed on one side, but then if you do one side, then you got to do it like every hour because you got to do the other side. And so like my mom and sister always did, you know, both sides, which is what I was wanting to do. But like, because my boobs had so much milk and hurt so bad, I was like having her doing the same amount of time on like each side, which finally after like researching and understanding, I realized that they're supposed to suck more on one side until they're pretty much done, and then you're supposed to do the other side, but the other side's supposed to be more of like a snack and not like getting out all the milk. Because then the next time you feed, you switch and start on the next side to get all that milk out, and then the other side's supposed to be a snack. And then the next time they eat, you go back to that side and then you switch. So I was still switching each side, but I feel like because my boobs had so much milk, I thought you're supposed to completely like drain both sides equally. And so I think she was getting too much milk, and I should have just been like pumping if I needed to get more milk out. So the whole thing was just really confusing. Nobody tells you And like I feel like even though you talk to the lactation specialist, like it's hard to have those questions because you don't really know. And then it's like I just felt so overwhelmed because I had talked to so many people and researched so many things, which you just kind of go down a rabbit hole, and I know you just got to figure out yourself and just try things and see what works and what doesn't. I just feel like instead of just like letting her eat when she wants to eat, it was like make sure you wake her up every 2 hours to eat, which I feel like was good during the day, but then at night I was like waking her up just because my boobs hurt and that she needed to eat even though like she was still sleeping. So I would say like obviously don't let your baby at the beginning go too long because they do need to eat a lot, like every 2 hours, like 1 to 2 hours. I feel like I was trying to like schedule it way too much instead of just like letting her go at her own pace, that it was like awful for the both of us. And then she had acid reflux, which they say don't overfeed when they have acid reflux because it's better if they don't have that much in their stomach because it's harder for it to like get in there in their intestines and stuff. So there's just like so much that they don't tell you, and it's so frustrating. Like I know you got to figure out stuff on your own, but like I just wish lactation specialists could like kind of go over more with you, especially when you're in the hospital. Like I feel like they just don't really say anything. They just come in and are like, just stick her on the boob, just keep going, just keep going, you just got to keep putting her on the boob, and then you just leave. And it's like I didn't know I could pump, or like when my milk came in, like all I had was the colostrum. So it's just so frustrating that they don't give you more help. And then it's like, yeah, you could hire a lactation specialist, or they give you a number that you can call, but like I don't like just being on the phone, which is frustrating. I don't know, it was really hard, and my mom and sister kept telling me just get through the first month with breastfeeding. Like it's so hard and you're gonna want to quit, you're gonna want to give up. But once you get through like the first month and then get like to 3 months of breastfeeding, like it's gonna be so easy. And they are so right, because I know why people would want to quit and give up. But literally, like if you just keep going with it and you push through the pain, it's like so worth it. Like you literally can do it. So I just think some people give up a little too quickly before they even give themselves like the chance to like get through the hard part. Anyway, I've gone back and forth so many times where I'm like, I could just go to formula and a bottle and that'd be so easy, but I'm really grateful that I fought through it and I'm doing a lot better now. I still have a lot of milk, which hurts and sucks because I'll like feed her and then an hour later they like hurt super bad. And then if I like get to 4 hours, I almost just need a pump just to get a little bit out, because otherwise she chokes and it's squirting and it's super, super hard. So it's just kind of frustrating. So I hope that eventually my milk will get on a schedule for her, but I've also heard that people just will have a ton of milk the whole time that they're breastfeeding. So I hope that's not me, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's kind of my breastfeeding journey. It's gotten a lot better, but it's still hard. I would just say ask all the questions that you can, even if you don't know what to think of. Ask when you're in the hospital what to do for breastfeeding, how you should do it when you're at home, because I didn't really, and I just kind of got here and didn't really know what to do. My mom and sister helped me a ton. So I was able to like do it, and they helped me feel comfortable enough, and I got that medical breast pump, which did wonders. It pumped all that milk out. It also stretched my nipples, because if you have like tiny nipples or they aren't really latching on your nipples, I think a medical pump would be good anyway, because it just really pulls your nipples out. So it helped her to be able to latch better once my nipples got stretched out as well. There's just so many things. And then I've heard tons of people, like my sister, like you can get the tongue tie or the lip tie, like that can struggle with breastfeeding your baby. And some people have like said, oh, like I can see at the top she kind of has a line, so she doesn't have one on the bottom. It's really good under there, and then she has a little one on the top. And my sister's had 4 kids, and at least her pediatrician or whoever she went to, they didn't really do anything for the top one, which I think they can, but my sister says they either like will grow out of it. If it's really, really bad, then normally they'll fix it, but they never fixed her kids because they said it wasn't bad enough. My sister looked at it and said hers is fine, and they probably wouldn't really do anything for it anyway. And she's been sucking and drinking. So I think the reason why, because a lot of people had commented and said the reason why she was pulling off and yanking off is like a lot of people said it was probably because she could have a lip tie or a tongue tie, but I think it was because I was having so much milk, and then her stomach was hurting so bad from having like acid reflux and being colicky and stuff, that it just was hurting. And like the second she started sucking in her tiny stomach, you could just, she was like and she would like throw up her milk or spit up her milk. And that was another thing, is that if you do have a lot of milk, they say to kind of either pump before. There's different things you can try. So I've noticed with when I'm really, really full, if I pump a little before, it helps a ton. And with acid reflux babies, you have like 2 different types of milk, which I can't remember what they call it, but you have like the thicker milk that comes in first, and then you have the thinner milk that's down below. And I think when she was drinking, she was getting more of the fatty milk before she even got to the thinner layer, and then I would switch to the other side, and then she would just get the fat milk again. And so I think that having too much of that fatty milk was really hurting her stomach. And they say that happens with acid reflux babies. It's better to pump first and get some of that fatty milk out so they're getting more of the thinner milk for their stomach. So again, there's like 50 different things. We've tried everything, and I feel like by far pumping first and then nursing has helped drastically. It's been a big difference. I don't know. That's kind of my breastfeeding journey. It's been really hard. If you mamas out there literally have questions or want any advice, I know I can give you my advice, and it may work, it may not, but that's just what has worked with me with trying literally everything under the sun. And I've seen a ton of your guys' comments in my DMs, and it's just been really hard to respond to people because there's seriously so many, but if I don't respond, just know I do read them, and I feel super grateful for all the advice and everything because we've tried it all. Breastfeeding is hard. If you need to do formula, you're still a good mom and it is okay. So don't think because you can't breastfeed that you are a terrible person, because you're not. Babies are still healthy no matter what, but I am super grateful that I've been able to do this journey with her, and I hope that it can continue to be great and that we will get through it. I'm just kind of taking it month by month. So my goal is to get to 3 months with breastfeeding, and then if it's still going good, take it from there and then go to 6 months. I at least want to get to 6 months, and if I can't do it anymore by then I will switch to formula, but I'm hoping to at least do a year if I can. Lottie's been doing so much better, you guys. It's been awesome. She seems fussy right now, but literally she's been so good today. But I think it's just because she's tired and I'm doing this video. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope that this helps anybody who is struggling, but seriously get the help if you need it, because I didn't really spend the time on getting help. I just kind of was trying to figure it out myself. So I guess that's all I have for you guys, but we'll catch you guys on the next video. Just want to say Charlotte's the cutest baby in the whole wide world. I don't care what you guys say, but she's pretty cute. Oh, also another thing that's really annoying. She had a goopy eye since we left the hospital, and then literally like 4 or 5 days now that I've been working so hard on like rubbing her eye. She has a clogged tear duct, and I kind of felt it like kind of like pop in there, and it like was great. Her eye healed, it was better, her right eye. Then literally 2 days later, left eye gooping everywhere. So now we're working on this eye. So if your baby gets goopy eyes, warm washcloths, massage the inner corner of their eye. So we'll keep you updated on the next eye and see if we can get it to go away, because it's so sad. She keeps having all these things, and then goopy eye, then her goopy eye finally goes away, and now it's in the other eye. So anyway, babies are so much fun. It's just never ending, one thing after the next. It's been a hard journey, but it's getting better day by day, and we're just so grateful to have her here. So we'll see you guys on the next YouTube video. Love you all so much. Bye.